Another mark of authentic biblical community is the willingness to have hard conversations for the sake of health. When we're dealing with the idea of relationships, conflict is something that's just going to happen. Relationships can get messy, but they're incredibly valuable. And so with conflicts, we must be prepared to deal with conflict management. A conflict is actually defined as an expressed struggle between at least two parties who perceive incompatible goals and interference from others in achieving their goals. Conflicts are bound to happen within a community. And so how do we handle conflicts? How do we resolve them? How do we manage them? Why should we deal with conflicts? And so to avoid the harms that can come from conflicts, conflict management should be a priority of having authentic biblical community. And usually it will be very successful when it's led by strong leadership. Another reason why we should deal with conflict management is so that we can actually reach the benefits that come from conflicts. Conflicts at times will expose problems that we would not normally see on the surface. And when we're able to deal with these conflicts and manage them properly, usually we'll have wonderful, positive results. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 23 and 24, Jesus spoke about conflicts. In fact, he said, if you heard that your brother has something against you, you should leave your offering at the altar, go and make it right with him, and then come back, pick up your offering, and continue. This is a very powerful word when it speaks to the idea of conflict. The offering was usually used as an act of worship. And what Jesus actually says here is, because you are aware that there is a conflict happening between your brother, something that has the potential to destroy authentic biblical community, he says right then and there, worship should cease. And you should now deliberately and intentionally do everything in your power to make it right. Conflict management is a part of us being together as a community. With this, we want to discuss at least 5 conflict styles. And what I'd love is if you would be able to identify what style do you normally use. And so with the first conflict style, we have what's known as avoidance. And in the avoidance, we call this a lose-lose situation. Dealing with avoidance means both parties act and behave like as if there is no conflict. This can happen a lot of times in church because simply we don't want to be the person to create negativity. So even though there may be something bothering you as a leader or maybe bothering another leader, we'll both act like as if there's nothing wrong because Jesus is our all in all. Avoidance is not a very good solution for conflict. The other conflict style is known as competition. And we call this a win-lose scenario, where one party just pretty much strong arms another party in getting what they want. This always creates the idea of resentment as well. And so this conflict style is not something that we would recommend to create authentic biblical community. The third style is what we will call compromise. And at first, people say, yes, we need to learn how to compromise. But a compromising conflict style is a no-win, no-lose scenario. Basically, both parties walk away from the conflict feeling that they've been shortchanged. And at times, this can sometimes feel even worse than the avoidance because you actually put in work to work things out, only to leave the situation like as if it was a waste of your time. The fourth is called accommodation. And we use that's a lose-win scenario, where just for the sake of peace, you give people whatever they want. I got to be honest with you, as a pastor, I've fallen victim to this many a times just for the sake of mission. But once again, this would be an unhealthy way of handling conflict because sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with the difficult issues. And so the last conflict style is something that we should all aspire to, and that's called collaboration or win-win, where both parties walk away from the conflict gaining something that they desperately needed. Collaboration takes time, it takes effort, sometimes it takes strategy. At times, it requires a meaningful conversation to truly discover what the needs are. And so our goal in dealing with conflict management would always be win-win. There's benefits when it comes to conflicts. When I can discover that maybe my tone doesn't help you, or perhaps you might have felt slighted simply because we moved ahead with a program without even consulting a department. Whatever it is, conflicts gives us an opportunity to have discussions so that as a community, we could be in greater harmony.